Really? Well, a happy birthday a day ahead of time. You look great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's genetics. It's my mom and dad. Nothing to do with me.
That frigid air too.
Yeah, the cold, frigid air. But you got to remember, I'm a Cali boy at heart, right? So,
Hey, we got snow here last night. We had
really,
hail and snow in Orange County.
wow, that's cool. Yeah, it's always a
First,
rarity, hey, when it comes out there. And I remember even in Northern California when I was growing up, if we got a little bit of snow, it was like, oh my goodness. Um, I'd make frequent trips to Lake Tahoe back then. That was my getaway to the snow.
Tahoe is gorgeous. That's our bucket list for retirement.
Mm, really, that's where you want to go. You want to head up north.
Yep, absolutely. Gorgeous up there.
Yeah, I love it. South Lake,
It's
where are you thinking? Where?
South Lake, but it is so expensive. You wouldn't believe the prices up there now.
Really?
Oh, crazy.
So maybe head into Reno in that area.
You know what? We checked out Reno. The wind blows like crazy 24/7, and it's not a good wind. So, nah, Tahoe's the place to be.
Cool. Yeah, California. I mean, you can't miss up at all, really. I went to school in San Luis Obispo, and I love the Central Coast. It's still for me like a hidden gem a little bit. That's that San Luis Obispo, Pismo area, and then of
Yeah.
course heading towards Santa Barbara. Yeah, yeah. Well, reminiscing a little bit.
Is that still the happiest place in the world? I heard St. Louis Obispo.
Well, I think
Wait,
it all depends. What you call
I
happy.
thought it was voted like the happiest place to live.
Well, if
hey, I
you
have a question. How does
yeah,
that lady have my name on her screen?
where's that? Oh, I don't know.
You
That's
know why, Jeff? Because I clicked on your link when somebody asked how to
Oh,
get in here.
that
So how do
explains
I
it.
undo
Okay.
that?
so you go to little. There's three little dots on your photo,
Okay.
and then you can just change your name there. There's like
Rename.
rename. Yeah,
Sorry,
But
Jeff.
for for future reference, Marcus posts the link in the insider group, and that link. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus. That link is an ongoing link for every Wednesday's meeting, so you don't have to get a new link every week.
that's true. I mean, it expires a year later, so every year we have to actually renew the link. But yes, that's correct. And Shay, if you're here, which I believe you are, go ahead and pin that in the insider group. There's one thing to do. You have to put it in the feature tab, and then you got to pin it once you put it in the feature tab so it raises to the top. Facebook is always changing it up on us. It used to be announcements, now it's features. Used to be Facebook, now it's Meta. Right? You know, whatever they're doing. We adjust, we adapt. That's the sign of a good agent. Okay, guys. So welcome to the Mastermind. We'll give it a few more minutes while everybody gets on here, and this is a time where we just like to have fun and talk about things like the happiest place on earth, and San Luis Obispo. By the way, that's where I went to school with a marketing degree, and famous for a place called Firestone. So if you ever go through there, get the tri-tip sandwich. It is unbelievable. I'm sorry if there's any vegans or vegetarians here, but the tri-tip sandwich, the reason why it's so good, it's they butter the French bun and toast it, and then their homemade barbecue sauce on top of that, and it just melts in your mouth with that tri-tip. So their fries are pretty good too. And they have this cool farmers market on Thursdays. Making you hungry, Sarah?
Yeah.
And I am famous for my chicken tacos. So I'll tell you, a good chicken taco, you have to fry the corn tortilla in butter, right? Don't That's the key because it has to melt in your mouth. And then saute your chicken thighs with Cajun seasoning, Cajun. And then you throw the melted cheese, the guacamole, sour cream, and some good hot sauce, and you can't go wrong with that. You could get a taco stand right there and just become a millionaire and just spread it all over.
I'll take three to go.
Three to go. Let's go. Perfect. Okay, we're expanding now. We're entrepreneurs, so we're gonna have multiple incomes.
Street
Taco,
text, street taco.
tacos, yeah, taco, street taco. That would be a good one. Street taco. We're expanding. Which, by the way, we are expanding. We just got into the mortgage side. So for anybody looking to test out the mortgage funnels, or if you know somebody, good idea, especially since, a lot of you can get them to sponsor you for StreetText purposes, as well as obviously with HomeBot. If you guys are using HomeBot, that's a great shoe-in to customizing the HomeBot experience, which I know a few of you are. So how do I get that StreetText hat? Well, that's a good question. If you just put it in here and we'll put you on the list. Put you on the list. It's a good hat. There will be more soon, says StreetText, which is Shay. Shay, hashtag StreetText. Okay, awesome guys. So let's start with some wins and shares, and how's it been? What's going on? Talk to us. What have you been learning? I know some of you just came from big events. What is it that you've been doing that's been working for you lately?
I got a win, and it's kind of funny. We always talk about work the old leads. I had some clients I was trying to find a house for in Washington State, which is like,
yes.
forget it. So, are we there?
Yeah, we're there.
So anyway, I turned around and was doing the follow-ups, and they decided to move into Florida. So once again, you let nothing get away. Sent them to Florida. It's been a couple months ago. This morning, I'm checking my email, and they're asking me to send them a W-9 so they can send me the referral for the lead I sent them. And I was like, yeah, definitely. So I always say, when you let nothing get away, even a referral, that's advertising dollars to me. So that's the deal I could have just ignored, but I still stuck with the follow-up, let the automation do its job, and got a referral coming. So just more money to pour into me. So do the referrals, stick with it. And even if your client's leaving, even if you have a deal that comes in, you sell their house leaving, find out where they're going. There's money on the other side. Remember that there's always money on the other side to be made if you handle things right. So that's my win for the day.
Nice wisdom drop. How do you suggest asking for the referral?
I ask, just like it's the same as if I was selling your house here and asking your plans, and you tell me, oh, we want to upgrade a bigger house or whatever. Just because I'm not licensed where you're going doesn't mean I can't do anything. So nowadays with the great old internet, we build up networks. I do a lot of military stuff. I go find someone in the area they're at. If I don't have someone in my database, I'll Google to see what agents are over there and who comes up, do a little bit of research, and then just reach out to them. And then I just send them a referral sheet, with all the information, and there it goes. And then I just track the client, send an occasional, how you guys doing? And it's kind of funny you say this, Marcus. These guys are on my Facebook. So, I haven't bothered to go look in and see if they're saying, hey, congrats on our new home, because it'll be closing here pretty quick.
Awesome. Hey, I've got a fun question for everybody by Nancy. Do you call your lead first? Obviously, we're going to have to discuss between the buyer and the seller side, but I'm going to shoot for you experienced people. Go ahead. Do you call your lead first?
That would be a no from Southern California. It just feels too intrusive, and I think the feel on the other end is their expectation. If it's a seller lead, if it's seller ad, their expectation is an automated valuation. So they're not expecting somebody to call them up right away and start to hammer them for information. So I think you gradually have to lead into these things and nurture these leads. We started out calling because we didn't know any better when we first started with StreetText. And the responses were not very positive. And I think that's the reason is they're just taken aback because their expectation is this is going to be fully automated. They're just going to get an email with their home value. They don't want somebody calling them and trying to close them for information or probe them right away. These are top of funnel leads. They need to be nurtured. But that's just one man's opinion.
There's many opinions in here. There's a lot of you. I want you to unmute yourself and say, do you call or do you wait? Let's hear it.
Only if they say right away. I don't call either. I let the automation do the job. I love throwing them in the HomeBot because at that point, you're warming them up to you. If they are active in HomeBot and you reach out, I reach out with a text as well. And if they say something, then I'll ask, hey, well, is there a best time to call you? And I ask them to find out what the best number is also, because a lot of times you get that, It's 709-555-1212. It's got to be the most popular number in the world that goes nowhere. So this way, when they're giving you the updated information, it's amazing. A lot of times, even when I ask what's the best email, how I wind up getting better information. So yeah, I agree. Warm them up first, unless they say, hey, well, call me. You're not going to get one from me.
I don't like to call people right away, only because it kind of freaks them out a little bit. I think same as Jeff just said, they just want to receive the information. I try and give it a couple of days. I might shoot a text or something or a video text, but it'll be a little bit of time before I call personally.
All right, let's hear the other side. Sarah.
Yeah, so I definitely think calling is important right away. I mean, I don't like immediately, especially if it's in the middle of the night, but I like to call them within 5 minutes when it comes through. And, they don't typically answer, but that's when I follow up with a video text that says, hey, I just saw you requested your home value. I'm sure you thought you were going to get that immediately, but I want to go above and beyond and, do more for you by getting you like a real accurate estimate. And then I talk about Zillow and how, it's all different and kind of go from there.
Great. Yeah, so many ways to skin a cat for sure.
I definitely think you guys you should call. That's my opinion. And I agree with nobody wants to be called and drilled 100%. Nobody does at all. That's why you just call to confirm that that's really them. Hey, I just want to make sure it's really you, because sometimes we get, fake numbers or whatever, or I want to make sure that you get the information you requested. And to make it even better for you, I just had a few questions. Is that okay? Right. So calling, right. Watch, if you don't call, guess what? Other agents are calling them right now. Okay. Are they good on the phone or not? Who knows? But when people are online filling out their information, it's because they're looking for info. And if you don't call, somebody's going to call, right? So in my opinion, just call them, confirm that it's them, make sure that they're getting the information they want, and that if they have any more questions, you're there and available, letting them know like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm human. If you need anything else beyond this, let me know. I'm here for you. So that's my opinion on that.
I love that, Gabriel. I think a lot of what I find is people don't know what to say.
100%. That's exactly what. And they also come in with their own feelings and emotions and opinions, thinking that's what the other person is thinking and feeling also. When, I think for the most part, yes, if you come in strong, like, hey, we're talking about listing presentations and asking them 100 questions, yeah, like they're going to back off, right? It's like anything. But when you come in and you have a script that you've been practicing, or just a series of questions like, you requested some info and I wanted to make sure that you got it. Is that okay? Yes. Oh, so by the way, are you planning to make a move? Maybe not. Okay, cool. Just wondering, is there anything else? Or, there's so many ways to do it. And the more you practice, the better you get at making these calls. And when you're really good at making these calls, trust me, you're going to want to call them within seconds of receiving the lead, which is, I think, is better.
How many of you would love to practice some role play? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Gabriel leads a role play class. You've probably seen his link in the StreetText Insider group, but let's just have fun and do one right now. Gabriel, you down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You're the realtor. You have to call me.
I'm scared. I don't want to call you.
I'll be the homeowner.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, is this Marcus?
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, Marcus, this is Gabriel over at XYZ Realty. You requested some info on my Facebook ad. I want to make sure you got.
I'm so sorry. I was just curious. I didn't know it was actually going to be someone calling me.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to make sure you got the information. What are you curious about?
Well, I just got this property assessment in the mail. It said my property went up 73%. So, I'm just curious. What is my actual property worth right now?
Yeah. So I want to go over a few things with you, and then I can send that out to you. And it's pretty accurate. And whether you want to just know, or maybe you want to refi, or maybe you want to sell later down the road, either way, you want to have accurate information, right?
Right. I mean, and I'm pretty savvy. I can Google my home right now and I can see, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, Redfin. They're all telling me certain prices. So why don't I just trust that?
Well, they admit it on their own site that it's as estimate is just a kind of a guess, and it's a robot picking up the local sales, smashing them all in the blender, and giving you a price. When if you live across the street from a neighborhood that's much lower than yours, it's gonna look like it's bringing your property value down, but it's really not. So, just a few questions, and then I go through. Have you remodeled this, that, and the other?
Yes.
I kind of go with the flow, right?
Yes. And I would be one of those guys too, like interested, especially like on my property. I've added 2 buildings that are permitted, both a gym and a workshop. So that would affect it, I would assume, affect its value greatly.
And some people immediately will talk, they talk to you for a bit and they go, oh, well, what do you charge? Right. You will learn how to handle all of it.
Jeff said, hang up on him. This is supposed to be realistic. No, not Gabriel. He would be too. I would want to talk to him because he's so friendly and opening. And I like that. I like the. Is that okay? Is that okay? Question.
Absolutely. That people. I mean, people aren't going to get aggressive or defensive when you say, "Hey, is that okay?" Like, I just want to help you. Is that okay? Oh, I'm just curious. I know a lot of people are very curious, especially in your neighborhood. So I want to send you something accurate. Is that okay?
Awesome. How many of you found that helpful? Yeah? Give us a little thumbs up. Do me a favor, Gabrielle, if you get a chance, throw in that little link so people can practice some role play, if that's something that really is something you want to work on, because I think that's important. A lot of us just don't practice that. And that's.
I think it's super important. I can't even stress how important it is. I mean, it's just like when you don't practice something, you cannot get good at it, Another way to get really good at it if you don't practice is by making lots of calls. Now, to make lots of calls, you need lots of leads. So yes, StreetText will help you with that part. But do you really want to practice on your clients? Like, getting good is inevitable. It's going to happen. You will get good. But the difference is when you practice, you'll get really good in like 3 to 6 months. And when you don't practice, it's going to take you years to get really good. And that's a ton of money down the drain. And we practice very realistic. If you guys watch the recording of today's role play session, I was being a jerk. I was like being tough. That's what we practice. We practice realistic stuff. When we practice, like if I practice an easy one, it's just to show an example of a certain question or a certain strategy, right? But for the most part, in our role play session, we get down and dirty. We, talk smack, like, just like you said,
Talk smack.
Yeah. So anyways, it's very helpful. Very helpful.
Awesome. Let's keep it going. Who else picks up the phone and makes the call? And maybe you have a different strategy with buyer leads than you do seller leads. That's cool too. I actually have heard from many people that they do pick up the phone the following day after they've sent value. They would have had the automated video going out. They would have done the video CMA, and then they're picking up the phone to make sure they got it and clarifying the actual home value estimate that they gave them and what they can do to improve on that.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Wendy. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of calling, not because it's a bad thing, because I think it's an amazing thing and I'm working on that, trying to get my mindset right. But I like to call after I give them something. So they already get the video text, they already get the email, they already got, everything. So I like to call them after I give them everything, so to see if they have any questions.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I want to give value first, and then, a lot of them won't know why I'm calling, but if I'm dropping off the CMA and I'm texting them and emailing them, then pretty soon they just know me. And now I'm just calling to be a friend and see if they have any questions about what I gave you.
Just pick up the phone and be like, hey, did you get my friend request?
Hey, right? I know.
I messaged you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just jumping in, but I totally agree with Wendy. Wendy and I make calls together. So totally agree that it's like I don't like to, I'm not a cold caller. I'm never going to pick up the phone and circle prospect somebody. So don't even ask me to do it. Not going to happen. But I will 100% of the time call somebody and ask them if they received something that they requested from me, or to ask them more about what they received from me. So a completely different mindset.
Guys, it's not a cold call at all when they requested info. It's already been broken, the ice. Like, it's, I get it. I have clients that do cold call, like 100% cold call neighborhoods, people like sitting there watching Oprah, eating Doritos, get a call from a realtor. That's one thing. Using a dialer. Somebody, Saverio said they use a dialer. Yeah. It's not about like, if it's a cold call, you approach it one way. If it's a lead, you approach it a completely different way. And that's what Linnea is talking about, which she's a champ at doing. But if people are requesting info, the ice is broken. You could just professionally deliver your services. That's what I'm saying.
I love it. Linnea, why don't you expand a little bit more on that too? When you do pick up the phone, what has already been seen? What has already been sent? How does it look?
So my calls are they're really easy. It's like, hey, Marcus, it's Linnea Carter calling from EXP. How's it going? Okay, Linnea, how's it going? Hey, I'm calling because you requested a home value from me on my Facebook page, and I want to get that out to you right away, but I have to verify a couple of things real quick. Do you have a quick second?
Yes, I do. Go ahead.
Great. So tax records show me that your address is blah, 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 and the square footage of your house is about 1,200 at 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Is that right? And
no,
they're like,
I've never actually clarified that before. How do I find that out, Linnea?
I mean, do you have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in your house?
Well, I do, but I don't know the square footage.
Well, no problem then. No problem then. I'm just going to go with what tax records say. Hey, I'm also looking at your house on Google Earth right now, and it looks like there's like a little green belt behind your house. Can you tell me what that is back there?
A what? What were we saying?
Like a green belt? Like a green space or a river or a creek or something behind your house. What is that?
Oh yeah, no, that's just a little greenhouse that we built along the river to grow some plants.
What kind of plants, Marcus?
Well, it is legal here in Canada.
Well, it's legal here in Seattle too. So, but anyway, that's essentially how I start the call. And then I say, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this for you right now. Here's what I want you to expect from me over the next couple of days. So you're going to get an automated home valuation. That's going to come to you through a website that I call HomeBot. I have a bunch of videos in there. So when you get that in about 2 days, go ahead and explore that for me. The next thing you're going to get is I'm actually going to make a little delivery of a home value range for you, and we'll send that to your doorstep. So when you get that on your doorstep, expect a phone call from me so I can follow up with you about that.
Hired.
Boom.
Yes, that's amazing service.
Super, super, super easy. And I've learned that like if someone's actually giving me their name, their address, their phone number, and their email, like it's like if you're not calling them, I mean, why are you wasting time? Like that's how I look at it.
Well, I mean, and the advantage, Gabriel, like the on the other side of that, what you say someone else is, a lot of people, this is the first time they were even thinking or considering it. So, you know, they probably, actually, you have that first opportunity, and it may be that way for a while.
Absolutely. You have that advantage that this might be the first thing they've entered their information into, maybe not. I think most people go to Zillow or Realtor.com too, but then believe it or not, there's people out there cold calling, okay? And if they share it with one person in their family, I promise you there's a realtor in the family that is already on it, you know? So I think it's just about getting really confident, knowing what to say, knowing that what you say it works, it's good, you're doing it to help them. You gain the confidence from that. You take the action, you get the results, and then you can't stay off the phone. Once you get the results, because you're confident, because you're good, you just want to keep going, right? And that's where people need to get to the point where making a call is not a big deal. Like, it's not a big deal. You just make the call. That's it, right?
Awesome. So on the other side of that, let's just say, now that we're on this conversation, let's go to the 3-bedroom, 2-bath under blank in Bonnie Lake, Linnea. I'll use your ad, for example. How do you approach that one versus the home value lead in terms of a call?
Well, I just ask them. I speak specifically to the ad. Like if the ad is, 3-bedroom homes in Bonnie Lake. So I speak specifically to that. Hey, Marcus, it's Linnea Carver calling from eXp Realty. I want to make sure that you got the 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes list in Bonnie Lake that you requested.
I did. It's just kind of overwhelming. Where do I begin? There's like 80 of these properties. How do I narrow this down?
Well, you mean you don't want to go look at all 80 properties?
No, absolutely not. I have some really key things in mind, amenities. I want to get my boys near the school, specifically for football. I'm a big football guy, so I want to make sure we're near that high school. Talk to me a little bit about how I narrow this down.
Great. That's a really good place to start, is narrowing it down with the school that you're looking for. What else is important to you?
Big kitchen. I like to cook.
Awesome.
I actually would like something that has a built-in gym. I'm a big, I like lifting weights, so that'd be huge as an amenity.
Me too. Like, hey, why don't we just buy a big gym together? I'm kidding. But then I'll, from there, it's like, if you want a big kitchen, I mean, what kind of work do you want to do in your kitchen? What do you want it to look like? What is a big kitchen to you? Does it have an island, got bars?
Yeah, an island, granite countertops, gas range stove is important. I like a little griddle in the middle of that. So 6 burners. Oh, wow.
And what's your budget?
I'm hanging. I got about 2.9 million to go with.
2.9 million. Is this now in cash, or are you going to have to cash out all your investments to be able to buy this? Like, what's this 2.9?
I have to, make some deals, but 2.9.
I mean, you get the idea. Like, the idea is, like, I just speak specifically to the ad. I don't really, I have questions in mind that I want to ask. Like, I always want to know, A, what kind of person are you? That's my number one thing. What kind of person are you? Are you my avatar? Because if you're not, then let's not keep this conversation going. B, I want to know, if you are interested in what I can offer you, are you currently talking to another agent, or do you work with another agent? And C, if you're actually a buyer and you want to go out and look at homes, do you have a home to sell, and are you pre-approved? So those are the questions that I ask, and I always ask time frame, but they don't come in like, first question is this, second question is this, third question is this. It's a conversation, like, with the little role play we just did. It was like, okay, Marcus, I see that you're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, but what more do you want? And we're going to kind of go down from there. And it's just, again, I speak specifically to the ad. Like, I have a waterfront homes ad, and I say, hey, I'm calling because you requested a list of all waterfront homes available in King and Pierce County. And, that budget goes from $300,000 to $7 million. Like, it's a huge range. So, I just speak specifically to the ad. That's what I found works.
Linnea, how many times have you asked a series of questions, I don't know, in the last 12 months?
I mean, since I really just got massively convinced by Gabriel about calling my leads back on a consistent basis, like 3 months ago, I would say I've now asked that question probably, I do about 100 calls a week. So what's that, 3 times, 3 months? What's that, 1,200 times?
Yeah.
Basically in the last year.
Yeah. And that qualifies as a script, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's your script. I always say, there's plenty of scripts out there. Pick one and master it, or make your own. If you make your own, be careful. I would love to go over it with you so that it's effective and good questions. But every question you asked is a great question, and it comes from being genuine. Like, I genuinely just want to know who you are, and I want to know how to help you, and I can help you much better if I know more about you. So let's get right through it. Right. So
it's basically called the script. It's basically called the disc profile, right? We need to find out what disc profile they are in the first 1 to 2 minutes when talking to someone. When someone asks you specific questions, don't just dive into going after them. I think it's a process to find out if they've raised their hand, if they're coming to you with a question, address that question and say, what more can I help you with? I think that is also important. Get to know their disc profile in the first 2 minutes. Ask them specific questions and not related to what they're asking about in a way, but address it in a different way to where you get to know them better, is what I would say also.
Absolutely. Personality styles is not hard to learn. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. You can literally know somebody's personality style in a few seconds. So I would definitely spend some time. You can go on YouTube and learn all kinds of stuff about it. I'm going to be dropping a course with StreetText. One of the modules is personality styles. So, if you guys are into that. But Janky's right. You have to know personality style. So imagine if you practice your scripts daily and you know personality styles, do you think you're going to get good results? 100% yes. 100,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect. I talk about this all the time in my academy, is that, and Lisa Hanley, you know this very well. We talk about practice. We embed the scripts. We do not read off the scripts. That's very important, right? Don't read off, because they're going to hang up on you. Something else Linnea was saying while I just entered was, you ask certain questions. That's what my ISAs do. They ask the right questions to set the phone appointment. And then when I get the warm transfer, I know exactly what this lead is about. So when you ask them specific questions, now if it's a seller lead, it's a total different conversation. You cannot go too aggressive with them if they're not looking to buy. And again, get to know their disc profile or whichever profile, like Gabriel said, and dive into getting to know the person at a different level, and trying to find out what is it that they are trying to achieve. What real estate goal is their goal that you can help them match?
I love that. And going back to the beginning, Jinky, because I know you showed up a little late, the question that all started this was, do you pick up the phone right away?
That's a great question. When a lead comes in, we're not awake 24/7, are we now? I'd love to do real estate 24/7, but we're not. We have a life. We have to have a life. So when a lead comes in at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I do not pick up the phone and dial, because I do not want to set that principle that, hey, I'm available any time of the day for you, right? But where lead to speed matters is what you're sending out immediately to them. So they think it's a perception thing. So they think that, oh, I got a text. Thanks, Jeff. So they think that, oh, she's around answering my call, right? You send them something so they know that this is an agent that will be very responsive. On our Yelp reviews, we have, lightning speed realtor. Am I really a lightning speed realtor? To some point of that is yes, I am. I do attend everything that my clients ask, but I'm not doing it. It's my team. So you guys don't need that, or I'm not asking you to go out there and make that expense. What I am asking you to do is set up an AI, or set up a Julie, or set up something in your CRM that will kind of say, go out as an immediate auto response. I think that is so important.
Well said. Yeah, and making sure they got it. I mean, and that's the thing. Some of these communications can get lost in folders. So part of that opportunity to call right away, if it is a full number, is just to reinforce, hey, just want to make sure you receive the home value you requested, right? So that, I think that's excellent, is not to always assume they're getting it in their inbox and or even text. And that's where you could follow up right away, And what about the thought process too, Janky? If you do make the call and it goes to the voicemail, do you pick up the phone right away and call again, or do you just leave a voicemail?
I leave a voicemail. I, in fact, do slide dial. I do not want them to pick up, but I want them to know, hey, I'm sorry, I try to call you. I just want to make sure that you're getting the information that you're looking for. However, I am here to answer your questions. So when you do have a moment, do reach out. And if you don't have any questions, enjoy my website, or enjoy the home evaluation that I sent you. Just keep in mind, things are changing very drastically in our real estate market. So, if you are considering, not thinking, considering selling or buying or whatever that might be, I'm just a phone call away. So I will reach out to you in the next 1 week. How does that sound? Now, I left that as a voicemail, but I can send that as a text too. When you are asking questions, I always say this, be in the driver's seat, ask questions, take away control from your lead. So you are in control of the conversation, because you want to get them into a converted pending transaction.
Love it. Can you explain a little bit for people that maybe don't know what slide dial is?
Oh, slide dial is where you call, but it goes straight to voicemail. It's you slide dial. They're not going to answer it. It'll ring once, twice, and it'll go straight into their voicemail.
Nice.
The principle behind slide dial, it sends 2 calls at the same time. That way it automatically triggers it to go to voicemail. And your call that you're actually on will be the one that goes into let's leave the message. And then the funny part is where you look and your phone just beeps or tweets and you're like, whoa, what happened?
Exactly.
And there it is.
Exactly.
But it works really well.
Marcus, can I jump in for a second? With the conversation of whether to call or not.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in calling. And the reason I believe in it, because we really train, and it's interesting because I have an ISA that I've had to retrain because the ISA came from a very aggressive brokerage. And so it was literally, we had to retrain her train of thought and train of conversation because she was so focused on, just set the appointment, but we really focus on coming from a place of service. And so if you're calling from a place of service, it's going to feel different to them and it's going to sound different to them. And I will look up some of the information. And I always, if there is misinformation online, if two things are completely different, I actually love that because it gives me a reason to call them and say, hey, we're doing a market analysis on your property that you requested. But there are conflicting information. Just wanted to see, does your home have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, or is it a 4-bedroom, 3 bath, or whatever it may be, from square footage to something being finished. Sometimes the taxes are way off, things like that. But it really gives you that place of service. And I tell you, coming from a place of service really makes a difference. Just had one the other day, actually yesterday, where and they even said, well, I have a real estate agent. They're the ones who helped us buy it, but we were just curious. And I was able to say, well, let's look at, because the old pictures were up there and there's a purple bathroom and there's a purple bedroom. And I was just like, well, so, I'd like the opportunity to earn your business because we provide a service and we can help you get rid of the purple bathroom and we can help you get rid of the purple bedroom. And we have a dump trailer and moving trailer you can use. So we come from a place of service. And it really takes the defensiveness off of them because they're like, oh, you do what? You actually care, and we always talk about putting more money back in their pocket. And if you've been given, and this has happened with StreetText, we get the just curious because they've been offered a guaranteed offer. We have some big guaranteed offer brokerages here that are marketed everywhere. And so we try to get out there and say, call us before you take that guaranteed offer. And we've won listings because we've got, nope, this is what we would actually list it for this instead of taking this. And again, coming from a place of service, if you're calling from a place of service and from a place of goodness, it's easy to pick up that phone because you're doing right by them.
And I think that, Lisa, works very good for seller leads, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. For seller lead, that works like a charm because for buyer leads, on the other hand, you want to give them information, but you want to do it to how you can guide and educate them about the current market. So we, during the daytime, yes, we do definitely pick up the phone and dial, the ISAs do. But again, like she said, it's a different type of ad. It's a type of service that you're providing. Well, both of them, you're providing service. You're coming from contribution. But what you say to them, and I always say this, Lisa's and I don't know if it's the same ISA, Lisa, but one of your ISAs is in my course. And it means coming from a place of contribution. And it also means how to ask a question a couple of times before in that first conversation and set that appointment before you go too far. Does that make sense, Lisa?
Oh, yes. We've had many conversations with her about this. Yeah. Coming from a place of service. Be careful. Don't get too pushy.
Exactly. Awesome.
Even
when you come from a place of service, you just got to make sure. And then another thing is, if they're working with another realtor, you got to be very careful about that, especially here in California. We cannot approach them because, and then we have other key questions that we have to ask. I'm sure, Jeff, that, right? We cannot just, they say we're working with a realtor, we have to be careful.
Right. Well, and we have to ask the follow-up questions when they say that. This particular case, they hadn't spoke to their realtor that helped them buy the place 3 years earlier, but they really liked him. So, so when they don't give up on a lead just because they say they're working with another realtor, what does that mean? So literally they were like, well, we really liked him when they helped us buy it. We haven't talked to him for a few years. And I'm like, well, then you're not really working with the realtor.
Wow.
Hey, Marcus, I'm just curious. Do most of the people on this call see service as the same thing as value?
Ooh, good question.
I don't think there's two things. I was gonna say, coming from a place of contribution and helpfulness, I think sometimes is mistaken for providing physical something or money or a dump truck. Like if you can do that stuff, great. Add it to your coming from helpfulness. But for people who are just starting, or maybe you don't have that whole setup yet, coming from a place of contribution, being helpful, it's really coming from in here. And I think that for most of us, you have to practice over and over coming from contribution, not just with your leads, in your entire life. Like go out today and everybody you run into, try to come from a place of contribution and provide value and helpfulness. And you'll start to get really good at knowing, I guess it's really what it comes down to is becoming the kind of person that wants to just help, and I learned this from my.
But and again, this is I come from a place of service when it comes to just helping people, because if you're helping people, you're serving people. So my mother was a nurse, so she was helpful. So we come from a place of service. It doesn't always mean going into painting, get a dump trail. It means that I'm gonna help you get more money for your house, or I'm gonna help you because I'm gonna answer the phone calls. I'm gonna actually communicate with you. So my value is coming from a place of service.
So yesterday I was on a Zoom consult and the buyer asked me, why should we have you represent us? Right? That was a loaded question. What is my value proposition? So when you talk about coming from contribution, it simply means, what are you going to do to educate me, guide me, and share market knowledge with me? It's that simple. What is your value proposition? And what are you going to do to educate me, guide me, and help me with this crazy market? What are you going to do for me? Right? It's about them. It's not about us. So we have to provide that value proposition. In case of Lisa, she's providing service. And then what Gabriel said, coming from a value angle, what is the contribution, right? Coming from contribution, it all means the same thing, but it's how we look at things, right? What is our value proposition? How are we looking at this and saying, hey, I'm going to come and educate you, guide you, and share market knowledge with you. All right, now break that down. So I basically said, hey, I'm the top moderator for this. I have my own academy. I have this, I have that, and I'm top 1% in my market. And I am also, this, and look at my Yelp reviews. And he said, okay, enough said, you got the job. Let's move forward. What do I need to do? Right. So that is, I could go on and on and on. I've sold 350 million in sales volume last year. I did this, I did that. But all of that does matter to some people, and some people it doesn't. So what are you really saying to them? Speak their language and talk to them and say, what is it that you're looking for in a realtor, right? And then service them in that way. So service, value, all of that at the end of the day means the same thing. Bottom line is, I'm here to help educate you, guide you, and share market knowledge with you. Who would say no to that? If I'm going to educate you, I'm going to look out for your real estate investment. I'm going to look out for you because you're the one that matters here, not me.
You always have to approach it like it's a working interview as well, though, because while you come at it with, we've got our standard scripts. Everybody's got their way of doing things, but it always comes down to listening to the needs and wants of the person.
Yes.
And going with Marcus's stalking things, it's outside of Facebook. When you pull up the information on their house, the MLS, I use Bing and I use Google Earth. You're already anticipating the questions so that when they turn around, some people call it overcoming objections. But if you turn around, a lot of times I try to answer the questions without them even having to ask them, so that they're already flowing in the direction you want to take them and have them go. And the end result always is you want the deal, but you have to know when to ask and know when to say when.
You guys, this is awesome. I hope you guys are writing things down, taking notes. We will have this on YouTube so you can watch it over again. I feel there's been like at least 15 gold nuggets dropped today so far.
Yeah, I agree. This has been so good. Like the strategies that have been shared, I've got my notebook here just like full of notes, and it really is good. So taking action on what we've learned is really critical. And I'll share a personal story. So last year, I mentioned I had a bunch of people cold calling, cold door knocking on my house. I had some painters come by, And this spring, I really need to paint the outside of our home. It's of that age. It needs to get redone. And how many painters do you think followed up?
0.
1, fortunately. And I just signed the deposit away last week. So it took that whole span of follow-up took 1 phone call. I got the phone call. I answered. I said yes. He said, I'll be there. He comes over. He reassesses the quote and gives me the quote. And literally, I spoke to my wife and she's like, yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks good. And we gave them the deposit that literally right then and there. So if I'm like almost the perfect example, I was a year out. So he met me last year, started thinking about it. This spring came, I'm now ready. I'm ready to go. So think about that from the action standpoint. It only took 1 phone call and that person now has a great job lined up. It's actually 2 jobs because they're going to be doing the inside too. So that's it's really that simple. And the thing I really love this question, the end, like what's the difference between value and service? And I think that's like a really, really important question because it kind of gets to the crux of, so value is what we contribute to the world. Value is so important. Value is, the world is better off from a goods and services standpoint because of the value you provide. So the more you stack the value, the more you provide, you're leveling up your service. And I think it's the reason that companies like Zillow are going to have a harder and harder time competing against real estate agents because like you just keep leveling up the value. Right? Like it's just now we provide this service and that service and this service and when you go above and beyond for your client, they might have an expectation in their mind of what this might look like. And when you're there on closing day and you show up for them when they weren't expecting it, and you help them in ways that were unexpected, and then maybe you provide a gift, but then you follow up and you see like, okay, how's everything going now that you're moved in? Now you've been living there a month. Has everything worked out? Like the surprise to them is enormous. And that creates sort of a flood of referral business because they can't help but talk about that experience. They're like, I just had the best experience of my life, and they want to share that with friends. That's value. The value happens as you're going through the experience of working with your client. The flip side of that is coming from a place of service. The expression coming from a place of service is really about posturing our own motivation. So when we come in there, it's like, am I trying to get a deal, which is not coming from a place of service, which is coming from a place of transaction, or am I really trying to figure out what is the best need for this person? Like what is really going to help them today, or in 3 months or 6 months from now, and how can I best give them a solution that will meet their needs? If they just need a CMA right now because they're an educational, well, that's probably the best thing. Maybe they're the kind of person who needs a little bit more time. You can figure that out from the disc profile. You figure that out, you can now come from a solution that's way more aligned to the needs of that person. And as a result, you just like skyrocket your trust. And at the end of the day, I really do believe that what sets you apart is you. You have humor, you're nice to be around, you're fun, you have integrity, you come from what I mean? It's you. And at the end of the day, people are like, a person can have the best resume in the world, but a resume is not going to get them hired. It's so like they can have value stacked, but the value is not going to get them hired unless they're speaking purely to a transactional person. And is that really the client that you want to be working with? Because they're going to be going for bottom dollar. And so you want to find those people who like you connect with, they love you, you love them. And you know what? Those are referral people at the end of the day. They've got a great network of friends. They're going to naturally communicate and share that. And I really do think and believe that at the end of the day, you are the value that sets you apart. And the more you get yourself out there, and I love this whole concept of like practice the scripts, and whether you do it the Wendy Linnea, and a lot of like do the pre follow-up first, and then they're a little bit warmer, and that's your natural style, go for it. If you're really excited about like just picked up the phone 5 minutes after they got the inquiry, and you practice that, go for that. Whatever you really, but do it. Because the key is there's a big difference between having a conversation with somebody and just kind of having like 1 or 2 messages back and forth. As soon as you have a conversation, like you've leveled that relationship up already.
It's good, John. I mean, I just had a comparative market analysis done on my house just for fun. And I have no intention of selling right away. I just wanted to know. I want to know in this market currently with the improvements I made to the home, where's this market heading? I'm just interested, what would it sell at its current condition? What could I do to get it to its max potential? Because there's the sell as is price right now. There's the future price. How many of us, or as homeowners, are probably thinking those things, but we're not being asked those questions. Instead, everybody's serving them with that next, as you said, like transaction-based script. There's no individual questions being asked that would really, make you different, coming from service, coming from value. So when she was coming over here and taking detailed notes and asking me the hard questions and all these things, that was showing like, wow, this person really is genuinely interested in helping me make the best decision for myself and my family. And I think that's the big part, is like, how do we get that opportunity? And that starts with your posture. And you have to have that opportunity. I think that's where authenticity is huge. Just being yourself, being real, being genuine. This is why video is a big part of that. Like, get used to it. Right? This is the day and age that we live in. Video is going to be super helpful because you're not going to always get the phone call. You're not always going to get the face-to-face unless you go and open the door or knock on the door. This is why it's called digital door knocking. I did a quick video this morning. I said, seller leads on Facebook is like knocking on someone's door, and if they opened it, you weren't there. You had some sort of piece of mail on the ground. That's what it is without video. That's what it is without personality. They're going to make an assumption that they're just being sold just like everything else. Unless you are different and you're unique in the way you present yourself and the questions you're asking and the way you come across, your body language, your tonality. Are you genuinely excited to serve this person, to help this person? Is that what's really in it for you, or are you just looking to get the next deal? And that really comes across.
I like that phrase, which I think is right on. Your posture of your intention, I think he said, or something like that. Like that pretty much nails it right there.
That's cool. How many of you guys are getting something out of this today? Is this big or what? Yeah, I think we're all winning. Yeah. And by the sharing. So this is kind of heading towards the end of the hour. This is for you, based on what you've learned so far. What is that one thing that you're going to take away from today? Maybe go ahead and write it down in the comments. Let's hold ourselves accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something out of this. Let's do some role play. Let's get some accountability. Because or else it's going to be a good mastermind again that you just said, yeah, that was awesome. And then you go about and do your thing again and nothing changed.
Yeah. I want to encourage everyone again. I said it earlier, but just so you guys remember, write it down maybe. For the rest of today, everybody you run into, remind yourself, how can I come from a place of helpfulness, of service, of value to this person right now? Practice with everybody, and you will get really good at it. And then it'll just happen naturally with your leads when you call them.
Awesome. Sherry said, I'm making my lunch smoothie right now, and as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna hang up and call the leads. Gonna make it happen.
Well, one of the biggest things that, it sounds funny to say this, if you're already good at something, that means you've practiced it enough to be good at it. And I don't say go away from it, but you identify, your area of weakness and what it is you're doing. And that's what we always strive to improve on. And what was said earlier, it is a real good thing to say, you don't practice it on your life clients. So if you're not in the habit of calling, I mean, I got a call center, so I let them do it. If there's something that needs to be done, I send it, they can do it. I do the follow-up. So I get to cheat my way to the top. But if you have an area that you're weak in, the idea is to improve on that to make you better. And so if it comes down to making calls and whatever, the hardest one is the first one. As you get in the rhythm of doing it, it gets easier. And this is a job where if you got your feelings get hurt real easy, you're in the wrong job, because you have to be, other than overcoming objections, you have to be willing to accept having the door slammed in your face on more than one occasion and understand it's going to happen again, and again. But for every one door that closes, you're trying to open one more. If I have 10 doors closed, one door open, I still consider that a win.
Real quick on a success story, you guys, for StreetText and coming from a place of service. Last year, I had a StreetText lead, beat out the aggressive broker that, because I knew they were interviewing 3 people, beat out the aggressive broker, came from a place of service. By going from a place of service value, that one StreetText lead gave me referrals after referrals. I ended up with 7 sales.
Wow.
From summer till the end of the year off of one StreetText leads, coming from a place of value, coming from a place of service. Come from a place of service and it will pay off in the long run.
Lisa, I'm also digging your red vibes today. Red nails, red shirt, red lipstick. It's awesome.
Fiery.
What else, guys? This is amazing. Keep it rocking. What do you want to talk about? Open it up. This is for you. I mean, and we have, usually there's the same 6 to 10 people talking, unmuting themselves. So I know there's another 50 of you here. This is your perfect opportunity to ask a question. And there's no bad questions out there, I promise you.
Well, I'll share this because I gotta go soon. But I'm gonna make a video on it, or a course, or a lesson, whatever. It's very simple. 2 questions that will absolutely help you with conversion. Number 1 is like knowing what sales is, and sales is asking great questions. Okay. And number 2 is listening very carefully. Like, I think most of us have heard that in one way or another. We might even know it. But when you practice those 2 things, like actually practice, there's something I recommend you can do with anybody. I call it the question game. I didn't make it up, but that's what it's called. And you just sit there with somebody and you fire off questions back and forth at each other. And you start to get really good at firing off questions off the top of your head. And then the next level is you start to get really good at asking questions that you know where the conversation is going. So you learn how to drive the conversation. So remember, asking great questions and listening carefully is a skill. Most people cannot do both. They could do one or the other. They're either really good listeners or they're really good at asking questions, or unfortunately, neither. And to be good at both, you just have to practice. That's it. Right. So if I can help in any other way, please hit me up, guys. Otherwise, I'm gonna head out. Marcus.
Thanks, Gabriel. Really appreciate it. Drop something in the insider group and we'll sure to pin it.
Marcus, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm brand new back. Well, I'm new again. And I have 2 ads that seem to be performing kind of identically. And I don't know if I should just leave them both on, or if I should turn one on or turn one off. And I was wondering if you could take a look and let me know which one you would run with.
Awesome, Stephanie. And do you know at this point who your guide is?
I could figure it out.
I'm looking right now for you, Stephanie.
Awesome. And is it a seller ad you're talking about, or a buyer?
Yeah, it's a seller ad. It's a home value ad.
Typically, what I like to do on one of those is look at view contacts on both of them and get really clear on where and which neighborhoods they're coming from. Because if they're identical, you're obviously going to want to go to the ones that are in the higher price point, the areas that you serve, and the areas closer to you. So if there's any of them that have data that's closer to home or areas you prefer, that's the one I would probably go with.
Yeah, they're equally spread out.
Okay, then let them go a little bit longer until you can decipher between one or the other. If one is clearly taking off in a direction, quality-wise, because if it's quantity, the hard part is you're going to be figuring out well, which one's giving them more quality in the areas I prefer. Another thing I would look at is if you've got any social interaction on them. So when you view the ad, look to see if there's any comments, likes, and so forth. That's a kind of a hint too on which one you'd probably want to keep on going with.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. One is, so I'm getting a lot, not from anywhere near where I am. I'm literally 15 miles out, just on an island. So I'm wondering, do I stop that and I restart? That's my first question. My second question is, my daughter's getting married in Costa Rica and I'm gone for 2 weeks. What's the strategy on leaving?
Ooh. There's a couple. I mean, there's so many great strategies. You can create automations specifically for that. Just genuinely say, hey, I'm off. There's a wedding. It's my daughter's. I'm going to be back with you in a few weeks just to let you know. In the meantime, right? You can do something like that for sure. Keep the momentum going. As far as the ads concerned, I would most likely stop it and do another split test. What I've been seeing, is this a seller ad you're talking about?
Well, yeah, both.
Okay. So what I've seen work really well lately, and it's just something you got to try and test. It doesn't work everywhere. I had a gal that, came onto my conversion workshop yesterday and said, I'm in 3 states with 15 miles. So I'm like, oh, that's a tough call right there. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to test a little bit more. But in your case, I would use imagery that was more local to what you're looking for. So whether it's through Canva or what I've seen recently people doing is you can use like Zillow or KV Core or Realtor, and you do that search criteria where the price bubbles come up with a map and make it more zoomed in as an image to that area that you're really wanting to work, and upload that into the What's Your Home Really Worth funnel so that you're reinforcing that's the particular area that you want leads from. And maybe compromise with yourself a little bit. This can't be too narrowed in. Maybe think like 3 to 5 mile zooms.
Yeah, I was second that. So if you are running an ad, and the more targeted the imagery is to the area, what Facebook will do is it'll show your ad to 500, but like now the learning algorithm lasts a lot longer. So it might even show it to 2,000 people. And then of those 2,000 people that it shows to, it will see what's common of the people that are actually clicking on that ad. And if you're using imagery that is relevant to people in a specific area, Facebook will realize, oh, every click is coming from within this area region. Even though I'm targeting here, I'm going to show the ad to these people within this segment here. And that works incredibly well, especially with the conversion ad. That's where you'll start to see the optimization actually improve over time for ads with the right imagery. So that is your best strategy. If you are getting people outside on the periphery, do a new split test, use different imagery, exactly what Marcus is sharing, and you will teach the algorithm where you want people.
Cool. And then after that, you won't have to be so specific, maybe?
No, you'll have to keep the specificity, because the algorithm is going to learn for the ad set, and then it's also going to learn for the campaign. And every time you make it so you're going to have to keep that strategy moving forward if that's what you're seeing in that area. So you'll want to try to keep using images. But I mean, you could do it in different ways too. If you're doing a listing ad, a listing is going to be in a specific area. That's obviously going to be more relevant to people interested in that area. But that actually works better for a 15-mile radius, because obviously someone might be trying to relocate there.
Lisa, I saw your ad. You said that you get a list of beautiful turnkey homes with smaller footprint, no stairs, no maintenance, sent directly to you. Do you have that list already up, and then it just goes out automatically?
So I actually, so I have it. They have to click through, and then it goes into the list already to a web link.
So you already worked that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. When I meet with Brandon today, I'm going to have him help me with some of that stuff. Hi, Brandon.
Marcus, I have a question. What is, based on your average and statistics that you guys must have in the timing when the listings, or inventory for that rather, in this 2 counties that I live in, Placer County and Sacramento County, there are close to about 700,000 residents, homes, and close to about 2 million people living here. And there is only about 100 and 60 or 180 total listings there. I mean, as you can see, inventory is literally nothing.
Right. I would almost go in that case more into the buyer side on that. You know, and we'll test them both. Split test the what's your home really worth, and split test what everybody's looking for coming into that, because a lot of these buyers right now are actual sellers. So that's one thing. I mean, if there's a mass exodus out of some of these places happening too, I know California is one of them as well. A lot of people are looking to get out and move to Texas and or, you know, fill in the blank. So I think ultimately just continue testing the waters with the split test and the A/B test. I would, on that what's your home really worth, if you have a preferred area that you're really working within, zoom in a little bit more to the image, use landmarks and landscapes that are more that area that you're in. I've seen, if you haven't tested it, you won't know, but I've seen the best is a combination of that map image with price bubbles at this moment. I'm loving what I've seen on you know, in particular Linnea's ad in the Bonnie Lake area. She zoomed out with the image about 3 to 5 miles out of that area, and then just did a search criteria in her KV core of homes that are over 800,000. And so clearly on those price bubbles that showed, you know, a bunch of the higher eights and then a bunch of 1 point something millions all over these price maps showing that. So it was really telling Facebook through that image, this is what I'm looking for, but it didn't deter people from outside the area to put in their information, because it was still, they know that particular area. So it was this nice hybrid. So that's where I would go on the what's your home really worth. I still to this day like that funnel the best of all our seller ones, because you can upload your own image into it. I know we're going to change that with some of our own funnels here shortly. If you do if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it, or the equity ask, you're stuck to that map image, whether it's a satellite or a map and or a terrain image. You don't have any way to upload it, your own image on that. So there's, to this day, the what's your home really worth is still my favorite for the customization of that. And on the buyer side, yeah, I mean, that's almost an easy way. It's almost foolproof to use the buyer side. You just think about something that everybody's looking for and a price point everybody's looking for. I think the bigger the net you can cast, so like single family homes in Blank County, for example, there's a lot of those that are, you know, if they're all the single family homes in Blank County, that's your chances of getting everybody. And then naturally you have a great opportunity to follow up and get them something custom. So for me, it's like cast the net as wide as you possibly can, and then do your pre-qualification on the other side.
Yeah, and I would agree. And the time frame in your market right now with such high demand is going to be faster. It's going to be shortened. So that means if you're running a seller campaign, you can expect to get seller leads that are turning into clients much faster. And if you're running a buyer's campaign, which I highly recommend, I think it's the strategy to go. Jenkins in a very similar market to you, and in that those from the data standpoint, with that level of turnover and demand and inventory, and all the buyers are sellers, and the reason they're buying is because they're terrified that if they sell their home, they're not going to be able to find what they need. So if you can start with a buyer's ad, you're actually going to get all the sellers anyways, and it's really the right strategy. And just, I think now is the time to floor it, because you're just in such a high demand, high turnover market. It's not that you aren't getting selling. Like, the other thing is, look at your market, you'll probably notice the inventory is low because the sales are record high. So it's just a lot is turning over. That's like that is exactly, so buyer ad for sure. I have to run. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. This has been an awesome mastermind.
Thank you.
You guys, you guys keep going if you want, but see ya.
Hey, we'll end it there. It's been gold. So, hey, thanks again. If there's anything that you want us to elaborate on for next week's mastermind, let us know. But take that one thing that you're going to do today, and then hold yourself accountable to it. If you need some accountability, write it in the StreetText Insider group. Check out Gabrielle if you want to do some role play, or if you need some coaching. There's some really gold. There's some gold in our community, and a lot of people, offer it for free in the beginning, just so you have that opportunity to see if it's a fit for you. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.